House. This is only like my second video since getting back into fishing. Those of you that know the channel know the deal. If this is your first video, first time tuning in, please hit the like, subscribe. You're going to want to stay tuned. What we're going to do today is we're going to cut the fat just like they're doing in Congress, right? They're trying to take stuff out that they don't need. So in your tackle box, if you followed along right before I stopped fishing, I started what I call my day box that turned into this crazy nightmare is what you see now. I have no idea exactly what I don't have in there. Not really the ideal day box to have. You kind of want to be able to just jump in there and grab something right then and there. I've loaded up way too many things. So in this video, kind of what I do every year, I kind of go through my stuff. See, I didn't do it last year because I didn't even bother to go fishing. Set out about a year, so we're going to look to get back into it. Maybe this winter on certain warm days, but in the early spring. But you kind of need to go through your tackle. If there's something, I kind of have to force myself to take stuff out that just wasn't working for like the whole year. Like I never use it. Now I do still hold on to some of the stuff. Like if you guys can see here, this is a whole, I think if you guys watched the video I did a couple years ago, and I sold some to Charles and I still have some, but I kind of just pulled out stuff that I don't have a lot. Now these are all baits that'll work, but I just only have so much room when I go out fishing, and I like to take everything to cover the whole gamut of what I might be using. So I'm kind of going to do that again, and I'm going to also give you guys just my top baits out of each one of my boxes, at how I have them separated, not necessarily in this one. But we may go through a few of these. This is one I had just started using that I'm not sure. I think I started doing real good with it, the 6 cents. These are not bad baits, but I think you could almost do the same thing if you have the old Man's Baby -1s. Just a real shallow running crank that kind of like shallower than your average square bill. Then, oh, you guys know I got to have the Frankenstein. That is an AliExpress bait that I still swear by for very little BFS type stuff. That color in particular, but you can still get this bait. It's just an awesome little bait from AliExpress. But anyway, I'm just going to show you this because this is what can you have. And this is the, we'll also talk about those. That is the Bill Lewis, the what do they call it, the ATV. And these are ones that, like, my favorite square bills are the ones that you can throw to any of the nastiest lay downs or that kind of stuff and gets right through it. And they do get bit also. Very light little rattle in there. But I need to, this is a smaller one, like a 1.0. I think I need to get some of the 1.5s too. And then you guys also know the spinnerbait from AliExpress. These are the real good ones. They're like a Megabass knockoff. Only like $2 or $3. These were doing very good for me also. Not necessarily. That color works, but... And the... some of these other ones were okay, and I'll get into more of that. The actual brands, like local brands or the AliExpress stuff. You guys know the Jackie Hamas from AliExpress, that they're just way cheaper than a jackhammer. They're actually cheaper than a standard Z-Man, but the standard Z-Mans work. I was trying to find a color. Give me a minute here. Yeah, like this color works, but that is not the exact one. And then these from Z-Man, these are actually good spinnerbaits too. I've had decent luck with those. And we'll talk about rods, but like you guys, if you know my arsenal, if you watch the video, the last video I just put out this year to start back in and went through my rods. Spinnerbaits like this is what I love throwing with that Super Destroyer. It just, the Poison Adrena 611 medium plus or whatever, that is also works for these. The blade, not so much. You can throw them, but I like it more for the chatterbait. The spinnerbaits, I just like a little bit stiffer rod, but I like the Super Destroyer the best. But for chatterbaits or the little chatterbaits, regular size and the smaller ones, chatterbaits, I like that blade is my favorite. Then would be the poison adrena. All right, let's get to the actual what this video is about. That's just what kind of how I left my day box one of the last days I was fishing, and I got to sort through it. And before we go to that, I will show you the sort of some of the swim baits. I guess I'll start kind of big. There's some gunk on there, salt or something. If you remember right, one of the last things me and Charles were getting into when I stopped fishing, we were kind of going through a phase of getting some of these different AliExpress big, big swim baits and going through them. And I've kind of come to the conclusion that this is probably too big for these waters. But I do like those. And I have caught some fish on some of these bigger ones. They're on the videos if you want to go back and check them out. But I kind of conclusion like this size seems to be, you can throw it, and I can throw these on the Tequila Baccarat. It's a kind of a load, but it throws them, and it's very easily doable. Even that big size, but it kind of starts to take some of the fun out of it, and you definitely lose bites. So we had a bunch of different ones, but I kind of found that this size is the size I like. It'll get you bigger hits. But it's also very easy to throw. I can actually throw it on any of my just regular bass rods, and the hooks aren't big enough that, I feel like I can't set the hook right. And then I was trying to find, I got them in a different box. I've got the Megabass knockoffs that I've kind of twiddled down a little bit, and those honestly seem to be about, it's this size. Okay, I lied, it's one size up. This size is good, but that next size up is also a very good one. So if you remember right, there's kind of like three sizes. The big one, the smaller ones, and there's that in between. And these, I kind of like this size also. And I even caught a few on this one. And I don't like get heavy into doing this like full time all the time. And I even have one of those ones with the flash boost stuff. This one, I don't know. I kind of like these. They're pretty good. You can switch the tails if you guys don't know about these. They're like I forget the name of the actual bait that they're a knockoff of, but they don't work too bad. But I'm kind of over the whole swim bait thing. I think I can, if I honestly go out and fish, I feel there's other baits in my arsenal that can catch me more fish than what just these can. I'm not saying they're not fun to throw, time to use them and still work them and how they work, but just not a huge fan of the bigger swim baits. So let's just start with, I don't even know if I got in some of these. We'll just start with my top water box. If you guys haven't seen the videos, I've done several like Whopper Plopper versus Poppers, the Whopper Plopper versus the Chapo, and in that video, this exact bait was just flat tearing them up. I caught like two giants, close to 7-pounders. That bait right there, I think they still have that at Tackle Warehouse, but that's that color exclusive to Tackle Warehouse. But that bait, but just any of I prefer, as you can probably tell as you see in here, I prefer the Whopper Ploppers over the Chapos. I've only bought a couple Chapos, but I feel they don't work any better, and I've already got Whopper Ploppers, and honestly, unless you just completely, I don't even know how you would lose one other than if a fish broke it off and didn't jump and spit it out, like while you're waiting on it. They're just a very long-lasting, durable bait, and they work. The Chapo, haven't had any issues with it, but I'm more of the Whopper Plopper fan. And I'm also more of a fan of a Pop Max, Pop X, Baby Pop X, but we've got a bunch of the other ones. There's a Pop X and then a Baby Pop X. I need to get a couple more of them littlest guys. But then these ones from AliExpress, they'll work. Almost any popper will work. It's all about, just how you're popping it. There's not a, it's kind of like not rocket science. If they're hitting something on top water, they will hit these. This is a color I got, did real good with it, and then I could never find it again to buy another one off AliExpress. But that exact bait right there works real good. And there's an actual white python in the Pop X. And then I think I got, no, maybe I don't have a separate frog box. If you guys, I'll go through them real quick. I may have deformed that sitting in there for a whole year without taking it out. It may go back to shape. It's definitely deformed if you can see. But I started having real good luck. I like that Z-Man. It's probably a couple years old now, but it had just came out. I do like that bait. But my old standby would be the Pop and Pad Crasher from Booyah. That thing just hookup ratio and works. Still probably my favorite, and I did have one of each size of these. I like the big one. It seemed like I could. It has a crazy. It just works good. These aren't bad. I do need to set that out maybe and see if it'll go back to shape or have to get another one. I don't like that fact about it. These seem to just, no matter how you abuse them, they just continue. No, that one's kind of stuck in a little bit too. Like I said, this is the longest my baits have probably set. I literally just got this box out. It's been setting since sometime September maybe of the year before last. So yeah, smashed them down and it's showing. So if it was me, when I go top, like if you're starting out fishing like of a morning, I start top water and I usually start what I call like, loud and proud, right? Real bright, loud baits, and then go down from there to just get whatever top water hit you can. Buzz baits we'll talk about here shortly, whatever. But a whopper plopper is a good way to be going loud and fast and all that, but then you can also kind of slow it. You can change the speed to where it's just barely bloop, bloop, bloop. You can do a lot of different stuff with it. You can, I don't think I have one of these still rigged with it, but at one point I had one rigged with some feathers on the back, just a light little bit, just to give it that almost like a popper effect when you stopped it. But usually if they are just if you're thrown to a specific spot, a lot of times then you'll want to switch over and throw like a Pop Max or, just depending on the size, what they're hitting. But between this right here and then pretty much just a buzz bait takes care of all my topwater stuff. If I had to pick one, of course, since the last time I went out, it was that dude and that size was doing so good, I'd have to pick it right at the moment. And other than when it's like very extreme tough bite on even top water before I really go to too much smaller ones, but that I thought I had, maybe I have it in the BF box. I think I got one of those little 60s or whatever also, because you can go way down. We've got some small BFS whopper plopper type baits, and I don't know how I even had these baits kind of stuff. That's part of why I'm going to go through them. I don't know which ones I'm going to take out of which boxes yet, but very good baits, top water. Let's go to probably my favorite hard bait to fish would be square bills. All right, take time for a little red Solo cup break here real quick. I call that my cinnamon Coke. Got a little something special in it. Anyway, Strike King 1.5, but this is the hard knot. Started having luck with that. You can see there's several of my favorite square bills so far right now that you can actually go buy. I could recommend. It's still favorite square bill of all time is this Dig It. You guys have heard the story if you follow the channel, but that is Cabela's Fisherman series they used to make called the Dig It in that color specifically, but all the other colors I had would catch fish too. But that baby bass color, man, that thing still catches them. I still have 6 or so of these floating around, but I've tried to replace it over the years, yet to really find a true replacement that I feel is just as good, but maybe it's this guy. I wish it had, I think they got a slight knock, but so I wish they had just a little more noise compared to what the Dig It does. But these, and that's why I got the little ones. I was trying to find the exact thing. These are going to be right there close, and then they're readily available, and so far I haven't really had an issue with them. I've got several of those. I probably need to buy another one of each color, maybe in the bigger sizes. All these other guys I've tried that are look different, like these cheap AliExpress ones. I think that's AliExpress. They just don't cut the mustard. They just don't enthuse me, so they're probably all of those, even several different brands floating around, that they don't enthuse me. Even all these, the RC ones, they're not, I mean, they all work. Every one of these baits in here will catch fish, but they don't stand out. These guys work at certain times also, these little Megabass Griffins. But for the money they cost, they don't, in my opinion, they don't cut the mustard compared to like what, because all of these other baits, not only do they, in my opinion, catch as many fish as like what the Dig It or these ATVs, they struggle to come through cover as good as what the Dig It always has for me. And then what these, I've only fished them for like a year. When they first came out, I bought them, and I'm like, wow, they go right through laydowns and stuff. So definitely love those. This was one of the last ones I bought and tried it. The Bling 55, not impressed with that bait. Cool looking one from Jackal, but some of these little not impressed with that one either. These little guys aren't bad. The little Killer Bagley. These aren't bad, little, almost BFS size, really. I just have them in here. Didn't really get a chance. That's a crazy little AliExpress one. It hasn't impressed me, but I didn't have a chance to fish it a lot. But these are the ones that impressed me from AliExpress. If you guys heard me talking about it, Proberos. In that color specifically, but I've got several of the other colors because that one was so good. That color works real good. This color, and I can't remember if I got on a good bite one day with that. But they've got several good colors. Those little Proberos, they're actually smaller and fish like a smaller presence even than the Dig It. So they're pretty much like a true BFS. These are awesome baits. They're only like $2 to $3 each. These are definitely worth stocking up on. Probero square bills on AliExpress. So out of these are just kind of like little tougher conditions, colder water, and then these Rebel. I don't even think they make them anymore. The bluegills from Rebels. These these things are kind of crazy hunting. Dart around, and then these also just kind of work pretty good. They're the Coffin bills from, I believe, Bagley, but I'm not 100%. So I just keep those if like it's just ever feel like the water's kind of cooled off for some reason, or colder weather, and they're just, I think they should hit a square bill. I'll try those if none of these other aren't working. But they're going to get hung up more than these other baits. But my top ones would be the ATVs from Bill Lewis Lures, and then the Proberos. And it could, because you can get these in a couple bigger sizes, and that's what I plan. I don't plan on trying any other square bills. I don't need any more of these. I'm gonna get a few more of these, and I may weed out this box, thin it down a little more, just basically so I'll be carrying less weight around on the square bill front. So then let's go to, here's the ones that I've kind of just, since I've got so many and so many different colors, and you can kind of get used to how they work. These are those Megabass knockoffs I was telling you about. You can leave them alone, and they only, kind of glide so much, or you can do like what I was doing, where you get them to chop. I mean, really dart, just trim down that edge off of it, and they still float. It's just a hollowed out part. You can trim them down. I've got several different ones. And I do find times when these, they're easy enough to throw, and you can kind of work them, like just not very, they don't go very deep, but like it's when they're, in my opinion, when they're kind of looking for something bigger, but they're not really hitting top water, but they're, I don't know, it's just hard to explain, but there's certain times when this bite kicks in, it's an awesome, fun bite. So I've got like a whole tackle box just full of a few different ones of those because they're fun to fish with, and they do work, and they're cheap on AliExpress. Let's go to, and I kind of go in the order, and I line them up in my tackle box of like roughly the depth, right? So those bigger swim baits could be up ahead of the square bills, but then I go to the rattle traps that you can kind of run at any depth, all the way at the bottom, and you just burn them fast, go shallow. But if you guys can't tell, my favorite color of rattle trap, well, yeah, you guessed it right there. And I've talked about this one forever, the Booyah Hard Knocker or One Knocker or whatever, in the bigger one. Once I started switching to the bigger size, that, if I had to pick one rattle trap, it would be, I can't remember the name, Toledo Gold maybe, but the Booyah Hard Knocker. And I think this is my favorite color, but I have caught some on this color. I mean, almost any color will work, but I'm thinking that one of these is getting hard to find in the bigger size. Can't remember if it's the Hard Knocker or the One Knocker. Yeah, here's the difference. These are the regular ones, more rattles, not as deep, and then this is the... But at any given time, one could work better than the other. Definitely my favorite bait, but then we also got into the... Where's it at? The LV... no, I forget what they call these things. Yeah, the LV Max 500 is what this one is. That bait, when you're doing that yo-yoing, the rattle trap things in cold water, these LV 500s are very good baits. This bait, 6 cents, nah, it wasn't the greatest. It's not, it'll work, but these kind of outshine most of these others in cold water when you're doing that yo-yoing or like jerking them off the bottom. That's why I picked those up. And then these look awesome, and they work. Charles, I think he caught his biggest bass that winter before last on one of these. He was the first one that got him at Academy or Dick's. I don't know where he picked his up at, but I tracked him down and ordered a few different ones just so I'd have them, because they do work. I just don't know. As of right now, I'd still say I would pick the Booyah over those. And then I've got a few other ones here that were the original, which I keep telling everybody, nobody believes me, but I would swear that the old Excaliburs, that's what the Booyah Hard Knockers are. They bought the patent or they copied it or whatever, but I swear they're the same exact bait. But there's a One Knocker, an original Excalibur one that I'd had Norm paint that's, as you can tell, I fished a lot and it's caught a lot of fish, but that color is a good color. And then I just got a couple that were close to that color in the regular Hard Knocker, not the One Knockers. And the bone, can't go wrong with the bone color. And then, of course, Strike King. I like that Strike King color. If you can't tell, almost every box open, it's got a Strike King bait in. It's going to have that color. That's the, oh shoot, I already forget the name of it. It's got a weird name. And then this is an AliExpress bait that I'm still trying to make myself like, but so far, no. If I got to go with them, I'm going to go with the Booyah Hard Knocker. I'm going to go with probably the 6 cents over the others. Then, if I'm only going on bottom stuff, though, I'm going with like LV, the Lucky Craft LV 500. But I don't think you can really go wrong also with Strike King. A lot of guys just swear by him and stuff. I'm still not a huge fan of Strike King. I still will tell you to this day, I feel there's better baits in almost everything Strike King makes. There's a better bait on the market that will outdo a Strike King, whether it even be the square bills, the rattle traps, you know, that kind of stuff. And I don't even know if I do have some. I like the Lucky Craft square bills also. They work pretty good, and I feel they're just as good, if not better, than the Strike King square bills. But on the rattle traps, I think the Booyah is just a, I don't know. I don't even remember exactly when I switched and started using the Booyahs, but since I've started using Booyah Hard Knockers, I've felt they're the best, hands down, rattle traps. So, let's go to jerkbait. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I'm trying to get through it here, almost a half hour. Okay, There's so many in here. Like, I can still just tell you right now, I don't even need all this because every great once in a while, I'm not a huge. I've got the Shimano X Pride 610 medium. That is an awesome jerkbait rod, but you can kind of go lighter because my favorite one, like the Vision 110, is probably still the best one, but I like the Vision 110 Plus One Junior is my bait that will just smoke them all. I don't even know where it is now in this box. There it is. Oh my god, I do like this color, and I have had good these re-ranges. They're good baits too. I just, if I had to pick one out of here, I these are the RC sticks. These are actually not bad either. These, like, for if you can still get them or find them or whatever for the money, these are good also. The AliExpress ones, they kind of, I've used them just briefly before I stopped fishing, but man, I'm telling you right now that usually you get out there, and I still have my original, the very first Megabass jerkbait I ever bought. I still have it to this day. It's right here. It is so nasty. Those are original hooks. You can tell they're Megabass hooks. That dude right there has caught a ton of fish, and that is my favorite probably color ever for Megabass. It is so chewed up now. I don't know if the camera's picking up the color, but it's their, I don't even know if, I guess they still make these. It's a square bill version of their Vision 110, and that dude right there, just, I've caught a bunch of fish, but that was when I only had a handful. I had a few Rebel. I didn't have a ton of jerk baits, but so what would I grab? I would grab that one when I was trying on my jerk bait. One of the reasons why I caught so many, but it just catches fish. The other reason. But these Vision 110 Plus One Juniors, let me see where you see it right there. Yeah, 110 Plus One Junior. Those baits, especially those colors, but I'm in several other colors. I may have one other one, a different color. Those suckers just flat catch fish. They're like, they just get a bite going, and then you might catch a big one too. But I like, those are my favorite of all of these. Some of these other ones from Rogers I've picked up, just no name, different brands. They will work. I've caught fish on them, and then some of these other little various styles of jerk type stuff. I don't know. I catch fish on all these. I think I went out when we were testing. I think I've caught a fish on almost every one of these. I've only thrown them a few times here and there because I got so many now, but it just never fails. I feel like you don't even have to try. If you go out with the Vision 110, and if they're not hitting that at 110 Plus One Junior, because either they're wanting something smaller or they're just a little deeper. So, like, if you go with the 1-2 punch, have a few Vision 110s, a few 110 Plus One Juniors, and that's probably all you would need. A couple, like a bright color, a natural color in each, and you could probably live out your life when a jerkbait bite's going. Now, you can fine-tune a jerkbait. When they're hitting bigger stuff, go with some of these that are a little bit bigger, and Megabass has a whole line. You could live on Megabass on they cover the whole range, but you're going to spend money. You could actually go get some of the cheaper ones on AliExpress, these Meredith baits and stuff, and they work. They will work also, but I think you got to try harder. You got to work the bait differently and watch out. But then when it gets real, real cold, the Megabass will be one of the only ones that's going to get hit. Like when you're wanting to really pause a jerk bait and let it just set, kind of dead stick in it, let it, what they call soak. So yeah, there's one right there. There's one of the first ones of those I bought, and I broke the bill right off of it. I will say that about the Megabass. That one there has drugged the mud. I don't know how many times when I was throwing it too shallow. That square bill one, I better knock on Emmett. Oh, there's some wood right there. Had yet to break that one, so I throw it every one. I don't throw it as much as I did before, but occasionally, if it gets real tough, I'm like, I'll just try it. All right, so hang on a second. Time out before we go any further. I'm getting ready to go. I got to go to my mid-diving cranks, and then we're going to go to another box. I've more or less done away with my deep diving crankbaits for 2 reasons. Not 4, 2. My hands get so dirty. I'm down here in the garage. It's getting nasty. So, let me read these comments real quick. What color attracts bass more? The color they can see the best. Are we still live? Yeah. Shane McNair, I haven't heard that name in a while. What's up? I haven't heard from Jay either. Jay abandoned ship once I said I was going to get into the GUN videos. He's like, I'm out. Sprite T tag G tag. I think you're new to the channel. I don't remember seeing that name. Oh, if you guys want to get into a real quick, like if I was going fishing right now, I would probably be throwing, well, jerk baits for sure. I'm not even sure what the water temps are right now. I've seen there's some ice on top and then it's melted, and we've been in 50s here. Then we go back down to highs in the 35. So the water temp's probably what, 35 to 42 degrees. I would still throw jerk baits. I would throw those rattle traps I was showing you, those craw colored ones, and I would go out to where if you're got sonar or a way to see that there's just something setting in like little holes or areas in deeper water, and just set and jerk those, let them hit bottom, cast that thing out, let it hit all the way bottom, and then just pop it and let it just sink on semi slack line, and then pop it, and then just do that. And if you're have enough patience before your hands start freezing off, that you usually get a bite going. If those are bass, they can't resist those baits. They'll be 500 for sure, but that Booyah Hard Knocker or even the 6 cents in those colors. You want a craw, orangish, reddish color, but then you could also be up there throwing, and then somebody commented on here, what color? Colors are strictly by how clear your water is and what they're feeding on, as far as natural colors, because you can throw a bait that looks nothing like a bluegill, but they may be just on that color. So like a bluegilly color may be working, or they just want a natural. If you're in real clear water, you want like a almost see-through type bait will work. But then there's just days to where, especially with these, you want something with just a little chartreuse on it. So if I was going out, I'd probably throw this guy first in semi-clear water. If it was already murky, I would throw this dude, which has that bright chartreuse on the bottom. This is for largemouth bass in the Midwest. But I would probably start with one of these two, and I would be fishing real slow. I would start out, I basically go as fast as the fish would let me go. I would cast it out, and I would, probably 3 to 5 seconds in between before I'd go to another jerk, and then just go from there. And then if I just knew there's something out in the water, but they're not hitting it, I would slow it down to maybe even a count of 10. Just get it to where you think you're on top of where something should be with the jerk bait. Give it like a second in between 2 pops, and then just let it set and like count to 10, and then give it another pop, count to 5 or 10, maybe a pop kind of quick, but then let it set. And if there are any bass around, they will probably hit that. If they're dead on bottom, you can see, or you're not getting anything with any kind of moving bait, I would do the rattle trap thing. But then if all else fails, just go to soft plastics. Go to whether it be shaky head, and I'll be probably talking about those in a minute. But you just throw something down there and just let it set, and just wiggle it like shake a shaky head, or wiggle it right in front of their face. Sometimes a jig will also get the job done in cold weather over a worm. Let's go to, I don't even know why I have this marked as mid diving cranks, but I'm not even sure if that's what this is, other than just miscellaneous cranks. I think it's just my square bills, along with, if you guys remember these are also ones I would use in this, all these different craw colors in this kind of weather. They're kind of like, basically, if you remember the old wiggle warts, these are the ones that we were getting and using, and were working real well. These fire tails or whatever. That color, I don't think that color I ever had much luck with. But this color right here, we had 2 different sizes. I think these are still available everywhere. We picked them up at Rogers. That color, then a bright, if you got real dirty, muddy kind of water, the brighter colors. I just had a few different ones. These should work in fairly clear water, but these, this one isn't bad. But this color here, that's what I call brown with the purple on it. That seemed to be the color that worked for me no matter what the conditions. And size just depend on how deep you need to go. If you're trying to, deep but not real deep, 5 to 10 foot, probably this guy. Anything over that, probably that guy. You might get down to just going across the tops of them kind of thing. But those baits work pretty good too. Then we have, there's what I was, these are very close to just the old style wiggle wart. That's an actual OG wiggle wart that I haven't caught a ton of fish. I don't know if it's a color or what. I don't throw it a lot, but OG, I've got a couple. I think I even have one or two that I had painted. This one's painted is an OG. But I don't throw these baits a ton. I just occasionally, they're not like one of my go-to baits. I do try them. That's the newer style one. That bait right there I know sucks. I don't know if it's the color or just the fact that it's a new wiggle wart. It's not good. Some other Strike Kings. These aren't horrible, but they're not great. Like I mentioned, Strike Kings. I've had pretty good luck with these. These are the old Killer Bees, I think. Bagley Killer Bee. Those are good little small baits. You might get away with BFS, but like light bait casting gear, not real super heavy stuff. Those. Oh, there's some more of the deeper divers. And then the Spros have their time and place when you're wanting to do some cranking. If you guys remember right, you can try it. I haven't had as much luck as I feel you probably could if you tried it longer and got good at it. But like, you probably heard the guys at Tactical Bass talk about speed cranking. So sometimes even in the winter, you can get out and just speed crank bait something like these around rocks, just like you would in the summer almost. And if it blasts right in front of their face, they'll just instinct will grab it kind of thing. But that's not something I do a lot. So these are my bigger square bills. I think that's the Strike King, and that's the Lucky Craft, I think. I think this one, little knot, a lot more of a knot. Never been a fan of the bigger square bills. I mean, I've got them just because I was throwing the bigger swim bait type stuff, but I just, here in the Midwest, I feel you're better off to stick with the 1.5 or even those 1.0s over those bigger square bills. But this dude, which he doesn't look a lot smaller, but that right there has probably been one of my favorite baits to come out in a while. In that color, though, I've tried all the other colors. If you can see, I've got just that color now. I went through all the other ones. This bait in this color, the Jabberjaw, just has times when like I talked about, like it seems like the square bills aren't really hitting, bites are a little tough, and you throw that Jabberjaw out there and just like you can create this insane bite that kicks in when other stuff you might be catching one here or there or there. And this is a bait like you can go back and watch me and Charles about fishing, and then I grab it and throw it, and all of a sudden I'm getting 2 bass at once. It turns them so aggressive, and I don't know what it is. And it's not like every day you go out fishing, but there's just times, and I've done it a few times now on what I call dead days or dead time periods during the day where that bait just kicks it in that color though. I wouldn't swear by any of the other colors the Jabberjaw comes in. But then you can't knock the old Megabass, the S cranks. These are awesome baits, and like you want to tie directly to them and throw them out, and this is a knockoff. And then the original ones, they don't rattle at all. But I like that one when the water's sort of clear. I've done real good when the bites kind of get tough. I usually don't throw these a lot either, unless it's I probably should throw them more, but I kind of went to the smaller stuff over the last few years. I probably should get back to these. These are good baits. I think I still got a few other colors going around, but somewhere I had one of these in a Fire Tiger color, and it works real good too. But anyway, the S cranks, you get a smaller size, but I've always had the better luck on the S cranks with that full size, the regular one, over the small one, in my opinion. So, and I'm not even going to talk about the Strike Kings. I'm kind of let down by those, in my opinion. For those Firetails, out of all these baits, these two right here, that Firetail series and that color is my favorite. Like, if you're anywhere like where wiggle wart type situation, you're like on a steeper bank and you want to use a crank, but you want it to dive deeper, harder, faster, or whatever. There's just time and place for it. It'd be that guy right there. Jabberjaw just works. It's always worth giving the Jabberjaw a try. All right. Now, those are basically the hard baits. Now I'm going to go to just my baits in general. Buzz baits, chatter baits, swim jigs, shaky head. What do I have? I don't even know what I got here. Snaps, pops, hooks. Oh, let's get these out of the way. So I had started to get into some of these. If you guys remember right, I was trying out some of the different swim bait stuff, and I even got on a crazy bite where that was working. If you guys remember right, tail got chewed off. I turned it around. I was using it like it would just fall and flop around, and I was tearing the fish up with that, looking just like that, just like it looks right now. I was just pulling it up and just skin hooking this and throwing that dude, and was tearing up some fish. Just it was not the looks, it was the action, just the way when you would pull it and then let it go and fall back down. It was just doing crazy stuff. That thing was catching fish, and I will try it again. But it is the Megabass. Oh shoot, what is that? What's the name of that sucker? I thought these would be better. That's a different brand. I just thought they looked better. They were molded better, but they don't work as good. That dude right there it just flat works, catches fish. I'm not saying these don't or won't, but nowhere near, in my opinion, as good as the actual. And these aren't crazy expensive. The name is escaping me right at the moment. I just saw them. They had them up, but I went to Bass Pro Shops, and they do have them there. And smaller size for sure, maybe the bigger size. I was almost ready to buy some more, but I couldn't remember what I had. I hadn't went through them, but the flick shit. No, I forget the name of these. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I don't have it with me. These baits have sucked. I haven't had any luck on these. They're AliExpress ones. I just don't know if maybe I need to throw them out and fish them back real slow or slower, but I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. That's not my kind of fishing. These have seemed to be pretty good. You can have it with this little thing or without or whatever, but these just have an action, and then when the tail breaks off, flip it around, and you got this little crazy, kind of crazy bait. That's about it. These I've caught a few fish, but I'm not impressed with it. I won't be buying any more of these either. And then these are the knockoffs of the Megabass also. I didn't really get a chance to get these out and fish them, but I think I've tried them a couple times. The action just doesn't. Not impressed with so far almost any of the swim bait soft plastic stuff other than the Megabass stuff. And if you guys I forget the other Megabass bait. I bought a bigger one, and I had pretty good luck with it. And then the other Megabass soft plastic, the crawdads, those actually will work too. I think I got some floating around somewhere, but overall, not a huge fan of soft plastic swim baits in general, but those Megabass ones do work. I like the smaller, as you'll see here somewhere. I like the smaller size swim baits. Where's some at? Let me see if I can find any. You guys remember right? I was buying the ones from AliExpress. Where are they at? Hang on. While we're still on the swim bait thing, trying to find some in the color that I like. Give me a minute. I got so much soft plastic stuff. Yeah, we'll go with this one. But yeah, like the smaller ones for BFS, and then I've got the bigger ones I put on my chatterbait trailers and all that kind of stuff. But that's the kind of like the Keytech style. So I like those swim bait in general, just for that kind of stuff. And let's finish off with the. Oh, I still have two things here. Some of my stuff. Also, Big A's baits. I think he's still making baits. He's sent me and Charles a bunch of different stuff over the time. I still have that stuff, but yeah, these are the ones. He also makes these. But that kind of is like my favorite kind of thing. Just you can rig it up on different heads, different stuff, chatterbait, spinnerbait, whatever, by itself on those different heads and stuff. Those work awesome. But then here we have our little. I probably shouldn't have left that on there, but little Ned baits. Got a couple. I don't know what. Must have thought I really liked that ping. I had one of different sizes rigged up for sink, so it sink faster than the other ones. Don't know what I was going on with that. These are actually from. I thought these would be way better than what. I wasn't really super impressed with those from. I think these are missile baits. They'll probably work, but I tried them briefly. Sometimes you just come across those baits that just, man, you throw them out and they just catch fish. They won't stop catching fish. And you're like, oh my goodness, I can't stop throwing it. And I hadn't had a day like that on those from missile baits. Since we're here at this section, these I'll talk about real quick. I don't throw them near enough, but these are a little thing that you can get if you're fishing with kids or something. I don't know what it is. I fish it. I don't catch as many fish. I let you put a worm, any kind of soft plastic that's not super long. You can put a soft plastic on there, hook it on, tie it on, or put a snap, and let a kid just throw it out and reel it back slow, and it just kind of wobbles. Wobble heads. Those things will just catch fish on a slow retrieve, and a lot of times when the bite's kind of tough. So I just have some sitting around. I haven't used those in a while either, but I did keep stocked up on them. They do work. And then you guys know my whole shaky head. I like the and then my snaps. I do use snaps. I've got different sizes. For regular size would be like this, like 10-pound test, something like that, maybe BFS, or I even have smaller ones if you want to get in that real crazy. And these can all be well, that one just mixed it up. Can be bought off AliExpress. You got all different sizes to the. If I'm going to use 15, 20-pound test, then we'll go to like the bigger. A lot of different size snaps, little 2-pound, 4-pound, 6-pound tests. Probably, yeah, somewhere around there. If I'm going 6, 8, or 10, I'll stay with a decent size one. And then I don't know why I like the red ones. It's just, I usually end up buying some of the red ones from Bass Pro just because you can go grab them there quick and easy. But then I think these are the hooks. These my drop shot hooks. I think I've got 2 different sizes on there. I don't remember which size they were, but those work pretty good. I don't know what that is. That size right there. A little stout. I mean, you get them a touch thinner, but I thought I had a few different sizes. Then the wobble heads, I always keep a few different ones of those, of different brands. Rattles, and then what I call the arm or leg rattles, to where if you want to really give something a lot of action, it's going to make noise and move around. Like if you're throwing a bright jig or whatever, and it's like murky, almost muddy water, you could hook one of those on. It just gives it more, presence in the water with something like that. If you're trying to attract stuff. I don't know why, but I've got a bunch of little jigs in this box, but these are like the little Z-Man jigs, and then there's some different ones somewhere. I just saw one. These little dudes do work too. These are good little ones you can buy. It's got the little fur and a thing. Put your little Ned bait on there. So yeah, I got those in there for some reason. But one of my favorite things are these little shaky heads. You can get in 16th, 1/8 ounce, quarter. I mean, a bunch of different weights. But I like the ones that are like this, that have the extra little sticks out. They 16th ounce finesse Z-Man, or not Z-Man, VMC finesse rugby jig. The other finesse jig is cut in, and it's just too hard to try to get something in there and tie onto it or whatever. I don't like those near as well. Those things they just flat work. Got a little give, but I mean, you can catch big, little fit, all kinds of stuff. That VMC finesse rugby jigs are my favorite for shaky head. Their half moon ones are also work like these would work for like kind of like if you wanted to, instead of going with the for multiple different things, you can also rig it up weedless, but you could also rig something on it just like that and throw it out and reel it back, kind of thing. These heads are pretty decent also. And then if you can't find the VMCs, I think they're still made by Bagley. Makes some that have like this. Bagley actually makes some of these shaky heads that work pretty good, especially for Z-Man stuff. Yeah, I think these are the Bagley side. They have them mixed up. These kind of give you the Z-Man stuff. Works on there, the Elastec, but also works real good on these too because they got that little lead thing that holds it on. Either one of those works pretty good. Those are what I got for the swim baits to screw in. I mean, I ran out of room to put them anywhere. All right, let's finish this video up before it's an hour. Whoa, I'm going way too far. Just make this quick. I'm not a huge fan of jigs, but I got a whole bunch. But I just kind of got in the habit of these cheaper ones from Rogers were working and doing the trick, And they were cheap, so I was just buying those and then tracking down. Mainly like these. I liked Rage Tails. You can just bounce them around. You can kind of swim them a little bit too, or whatever. Was probably what I started using there at the last, because I've tried a lot of different other ones. We had ran into a couple different times where the peanut butter colors were really working, but I just, I'm not a, jig fishing is not one of my big strong suits. When I'd usually go to jig fishing, I'd even go down. I kind of downsized it, turn it into almost BFS stuff with, almost like a Ned head type thing with the jig, like that little heavy, crazy football head, but it's a small profile. Put you a small crawl on there. You can still get down deep, but like you're throwing a little bitty presentation. Any others that stand out? Several others. This is probably one of my favorite colors. Is that right there? Seems to work a lot. Those two colors. Got different size heads. Football to drag around, or one just to throw around. Thing I like about these, I'm not worried on any of these cheap. I got a bunch of those cheap ones from Rogers. They're like $1.50 each. I throw them anywhere, in the gunk. I'm not worried about in between down around stumps or whatever. If I do lose it, I'm not losing much. Just, retie, you lost $1 something plus whatever trailer you had on it. It's not the end of the world. Where if you spend $5 to $8 for a jig and you're throwing around into some nasty stuff, you're just kind of less likely to take that chance. Is why I try to use just the cheapest good ones that work, but the cheapest I'd come across to sacrifice baits. All right, 2 more and then we're out. I'm going to end it with my favorite, but let's just talk real quick. If you guys remember this story, oh my God, do you remember the story? The Guggen baits. Do you guys remember the Guggen baits? Matt, me, I bought all, if you guys remember the story, I bought all these Guggen baits, went out, and every one of them was horrible. And I've kind of got in the habit of trying to get them straight. So I still have too many Guggen baits, because instead of refunding me or me sending back, they just sent me a whole nother batch. And then so I just went, and those were actually sucked too. I think 1 out of the whole 8 or 10 that I ended up getting went fairly straight out of the box, but they were all I don't know, there was something wrong with the whole thing. But out of all these, I do like these. These definitely catch fish, and they work good once you kind of tweak them and tune them and get them to, come back at you straight. And they don't have to come at you straight. It's just, that's what they're supposed to do. But we kind of tuned them and got them going. But that color right there, that black and blue, it's got just a little bit of a blue fleck. It's really just a black with the gold blade. Man, just like my black and blue gold blade chatterbaits, that sucker will, like, it's a fish catching machine. Still catch them on the white. That's my least favorite. They only have like 3 colors. Still catch them on, you know, white buzzbait, but that bluegill color I thought would be way better. It is just not as good. I would take that black with the gold blade over that other one anyway, any day in the bluegill color. But then this one, I would take this one. And I've got several others, but you guys have seen all buzzbaits before. That and the Guggen one is still a very good, you know, half-ounce buzzbait. Very good bait. But buzzbaits, I recommend the old style, and that's what these are. They're just the blade actually got a cutout in the middle, so you have more of a chance of it. The metal shaft rubbing all over gives it that extra little squeak. You want to make sure that that thing doesn't spin to where when these rub, it creates that extra little squeak. I don't care. I swear by it that can help in getting the fish attracted to it and biting it. But anyway, you guys know about buzzbaits. If you don't, you will. Buzzbaits are actually one of the easiest things to throw and catch fish. The hardest thing to figure out the exact way to set the hook right. You've got to wait. Just like a frog, you see that thing just, your instinct is a knee-jerk reaction just to yank. If you do that, you lose not all, but you'll lose a lot of those fish. If you just wait till you feel something going on with the rod to then set the hook, you have way more fish catches on a buzzbait. Kind of like a chatterbait. Chatterbait, you just kind of pull, you like feel it and you just kind of pull. You pull and then you pull harder and faster as you pull, but you got to pull on a chatterbait, in my opinion, and we'll talk a little bit about this as I end this video. The biggest problem with chatterbait, you hear everybody and their brother talking about you got to try different this, you got to try different that, because of certain rod in order to set the hook right. I believe it's all in this right here. This blade. The fish comes in, and fish usually when they eat, not every time. So if you're hitting it, depends on what angle they're hitting at. But I think the reason you'll lose a lot of chatterbait fish unless you learn how to set the hook right, or a forgiving rod that you just kind of let load up, is because with the stiffer rod, say braid and a stiff rod, or you're just kind of like a buzzbait knee-jerk reaction. I think when a fish hits these, they suck the bait in, and I think this blade goes back this way on a fish you're going to miss. So when that happens and it closes its mouth, so like this, it opens up, grabs it. And I think if you instantly pull with a very hard hook set real fast, it that coming up kind of blows open a hole enough in his mouth, makes him open his mouth up enough that the hook basically follows it right out, is what I think the reason there's such controversy over, what to use for a chatterbait to get the fish to bite. So I've tried different rods over the years, and I think you do need a touch softer rod. But I think on any rod you're using, if you're fishing a chatterbait, is when you feel the fish, you can tell you got hit. Just like on a buzzbait, if you just instantly jerk, your chance of missing that bass. But if you just kind of pull, not almost like a circle hook or treble hook bait where you don't have to yank real hard, but you just need to, like, you pull, and I think all it takes is as you're pulling, it's not like you can feel this opening up, but I think if you just pull towards you and then yank, I think that does give you a way better chance of hookup ratio on no matter what rod and reel, line, and stuff you're using like that. But anyway. So these, I still swear by. I don't even know if I have any in. I think they're all in my other box. But these Jackie Hamas, and even this color work. Almost any color could work, but my favorite is still black and blue with the gold blade, and they're probably all in that other box. As you can tell, I've got several of these ones from AliExpress. I still think that, yes, the jackhammers are probably still maybe the better ones made. Now they got the XOs, which are basically everything a jackhammer is, except without whatever they had to take away that they wouldn't let them use from Evergreen. But that's a true, oh, that thing is toast. That's a true jackhammer there, and a half-ounce. And that Bee-Height Delight color, I think. But these are awesome baits. Half-ounce, but I started getting where I kind of like the 3/8, and then just with the trailer, but half ounce, like day in, day out, the half ounce is probably what you want. But I kind of got in the habit to where I like these. I think they're the little lighter. I think they're only like a 3/8 ounce. But then by the time you add your trailer, they are. I didn't even go through my spinner baits. Maybe another day. But anyway, half ounce or 3/8. I don't. I've tried the bigger, and I do use the smaller. I'll have to do BFS at a later date too. But last thing I'll talk about these before I'm going to end this video because it's already been an hour. And I need to go get ready. Hang on. Red Solo cut break. That's spicy. The baits. Not only in I for years I was always like I can use fish with the same rod, but I have found where I use different rods. With the chatterbait, I can't say you can't go out and catch fish without putting on some sort of, and these the Rage Tail are my favorite trailers period for these, but I do use a couple other Z-Man different things that will stay on longer because these you'll go through fairly quick. But the difference in fish hitting a chatterbait with some sort of trailer on it as opposed to just throw this out and just reel it back is night and day. I mean, there's no way I throw chatterbaits now without having some sort of soft plastic, even if it's this, even if it's just not this dried up. But we started using zinkers, like just partial, just something to be back there and giving it more of a profile than where just the skirt ends, because whatever it is, they just do not want to hit a chatterbait without a soft plastic attached. I can go out with spinner baits and literally just cast spinnerbait by itself, and you can catch fish. And I've gotten a habit now I like to put some sort of trailer on those too, but there is a slight difference there. You can fish spinnerbaits, I feel anyway, without any trailer. You definitely don't want to do it with the chatterbait, because a lot of times the spinnerbaits, I used to fish a spinnerbait with a extended, another hook, because I felt like that helped me with hookups. But I think now I'm kind of like, I think first person I heard talk about it was Matt Allen, saying if you run a little, like a Keytech, some kind of swim bait tail, it seems like they come up and just get it better, and then you don't lose as many fish as opposed to running that extra little hook. So anyway, I don't even know where my BFS stuff is. I don't know. Heck, we're already over it. We might as well go with it. Let's just run through the BFS baits real quick. I'll just show you this box. This will give you something to look forward to. I'm not going to go through all these baits, but here is more or less my BFS hard baits and the smaller ones. I'll finish it with these little guys, because you can get these all the way down to very little chatterbaits. I don't think is this the smallest? This may be the smallest you can get on a chatterbait. So there is that little bitty Z-Man chatterbait you can get, and I'll just show you just a regular. So there's your standard 3/8 or half, or roughly the same. One's got a little thicker head. If you can see the difference between just a regular chatterbait compared to how little you can get. I think that's a 1/16 ounce. So for BFS fishing, and these do work. If you get on little fish, when you want to go crappie, bluegill, stuff, like, they'll tear those up. Like the one we were using is just any of these smaller ones with like one of the smaller Keytech size, like the smallest size with one of these smaller heads, you can tear them up. But I'm not going to go into all this box. Stay tuned for another video. I'll maybe finish up, go into more depth on my chatterbait game and the spinnerbaits, and into and I still got different soft plastics and worms and stuff like that. So I'm going to end this video, hour and 4 minutes, 5 minutes. But if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We will be putting out more videos. I got to go through. I'll probably, when I come back and talk about the other baits, I'm going to go through these boxes first, and I will try to give you an idea of like how I cleared out some of these. Because even like this box, like if you can tell, it's jam-packed full, but I'm not sure. I don't need I don't use Most of those will catch fish, but I probably, well, for instance, like up here in this corner, I don't know if I even throw any of those on any given. I may make it 6 months before I ever even look at those and some of those others and some of the colors. So anyway, stay tuned, guys. I'll be updating maybe this weekend. Oh yeah, tomorrow is my birthday eve. Saturday is my birthday. And you want to guess how old I am? I'm going to give you a little heads up. Maybe more like this way. 54 years old. I know, getting old. So anyway, guys, get out of here. Go bass bonsai, but whatever you do, make sure you have fun doing it. I'm gone.